Is it following me? Yeah. Welcome to episode 2 of our YouTube channel. So this episode is just me explaining of how I come to have Forge Steel as a business. So it started off back home in Ireland when I was 16. One of my friends worked in a company, Terex Finleys, which do quarry machinery, and he says to me, "There's a job coming up. Have you ever done any welding before?" And I was like, "No, I've never touched a welder. I don't even know what a welder looks like." And he says, "Right, come up. We'll get you an interview. Come up 2 hours beforehand." So that was like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and he had taught me for 2 hours how to weld. And I was starting to pick it up within the first hour, because it's not that difficult to know how to. Once somebody good teaches you, it's quite easy to learn how to do it. So he had taught me within the 2 hours, done my weld test. The boy says, "Spot on. When can you start?" So I started the next Monday. So I went from there for 2 years, and then went to another company in Ballynamallard called Fishers, which is now called Severfield. And they build a lot of big, massive buildings. Done the Olympic Stadium back whenever the Olympics was in London. Done the Titanic headquarters, which is that big fancy building beside Harland and Wolff. And then from there, after 10 years, I went to a company back at my hometown in Castledourg called Sayers Engineering, which built quarry machinery for Terex. So they're a subcontractor for Terex. So they would get the job in, we would do it, and then they would send it back to them. And then we then moved on in the same company to do. They were doing a lot of digesters at the time whenever I was over back home. So that was fuel, turning like rotten potatoes or grass and putting it into a big digester and turning it into fuel, which was massive back home. So there's a lot of stainless steel. So that's when I learned how to use an aluminium or a stainless steel TIG welder at the time. Didn't really know much about aluminium at that point, but then later on down the line I started to learn how to work and how to weld on it. So from there I ended up moving to Sheffield in England, which is the steel capital. That's where they invented stainless steel at the time. Well, not at the time, back years ago. But it's ironic that that's where I ended up going, because my now wife was at university in Nottingham, so she wanted to live over here for a few years. So I got a job in Barnsley in a company called Premier Engineering, which done a lot of work for the HS2. So done a lot of staircases for train stations, a lot of bridges, spiral staircases, loads of really nice. That's probably one of my favourite places I've worked. Then I was training in a CrossFit gym. As you can tell, I look like I train a bit, don't I? I haven't really trained much. And that's where I met Mick, who is behind the camera now. And we were just talking one day, and Mark decided that they were moving into a big unit, which is beside where we are now, and he needed a 13-bay competition rig, and he had asked me could I design something and build it. So we ended up working on the unit beside him, brought all the steel in, made a lot of mistakes. We should have got the stuff all laser cut, but decided we just hand drill every hole, which took a bit of time, but we don't do that now in any of our rigs, I'll tell you that much, because Mick will be. So then I decided, well, I actually talked to Mick one day, said that we were thinking about starting on something of my own. He was working for a railway company as a manager at the time, and I says, would you be interested in coming along and trying to make it work? And I have to give it to him now, he did decide to come along, which not a lot of people would end up doing. So it was, if I didn't have Mick doing that, I would have been pretty screwed then, because it was the first couple of years the first 6 months probably, Mick, was the hardest, trying to get work in and making sure we had enough work for the both of us, and we made it work. And then I met Ryan at Custom Built, which he does all the camper van conversions for like all different kinds of vans. And we started off, he says, "Oh, would you be able to make me a bed frame for the back?" So we started off making bed frames, and then we ended up then going into more aluminium products, which is what you see here, which is the wheel carrier ladder combo. So we designed this. I'm self-taught in AutoCAD. I got AutoCAD a few years ago, and every night I would have just sat down and went on to YouTube how to work AutoCAD, and then learned how to do all the plates, all the profiles. So I was able to work off. I'm very good at understanding drawings because I've been doing it for the last 25 years. So like anything like this, building stuff off vans, it's quite, I don't want to say it's quite easy, but I'm used to doing it, and I know how to work an angle and how to work out where something needs to be bent, and it's just, it's something that I'm very good at doing, which I don't like to bum and blow about what I am and good at, but that's just, I'm good at that. So then we decided to move in to that last unit. It was just a small unit, but it wasn't working out because it's too close to where the gym was. So I contacted the owner of this whole unit over here and asked, is there anywhere that I can work out of? He says, well, there's these 2 shipping containers. Is there anything you could do about that? I says, well, it's not ideal, but it's something that we can start, and we'll see if we can make it work. So we decided to cut this section out, and then we sealed it all off with folded plate, which is galvanized sheeting, just to make it watertight. And then we'll come over to this side, we'll cut out another hole and added this on. This is going to be, at the start, was going to be a paint shop, but obviously it didn't work out. So we've got this as a storage area. We've got our bender here, where we do all our bending, like this kind of stuff. So we'll bend everything out of this with that. So we started doing aluminium wheel carriers, and I used to race motocross for 15 years, and like we lived out of vans. We didn't have them done up to the camper van style. We had a double bed where me and my father would have slept. If we would have been travelling 3 hours to Cork to race, we would have just slept on the back of the van with a bike in beside us. So my first van was the VW Crafter. So it's ironic that, looking back, when I was racing, that I would be manufacturing all the stuff for a crafter that I used to race in every weekend. We used to head away, so that's nice to be doing that. And that's the story of where we are now. And next month we are hoping to get into a bigger unit, because we have outgrown this, and we're getting a lot of inquiries, a lot of work from the aluminium side of things. So ideally we would like, well, we have got this unit, and in me and Mick's head, we would like the customer to experience coming to our unit, forged steel, reverse their van in, we'll cut out their whole the back doors, roof racks. We'll have a coffee area where something nice where they can sit and relax and maybe watch TV until we do it. So that's something that I think it's nice to give the customers a nice experience of coming to Forged Steel, where they can, if they're somebody that's wanting something, yeah, you should go to Forged Steel because it's really good. Because we do take pride in our work, and quality's very important because of my background in structural engineering with staircases, and like everything was execution class 3, which is the top finish spec on all of the stuff that we do. So that's in my head. I want to have that my product needs to be the best product that my customer's getting. So if you do want to follow us along on the journey of forged steel fabrications, give us a follow and a like, and even comment on what you would like us to do in some of the videos, because sometimes people want to see how's this done, or if anybody wants to know how to set up a welder, how to turn on a welder, obviously just plug it on, turn it on. But like I can show people how we would weld something, mild steel, stick, MIG, TIG, the whole lot. We can do it all. So we're probably not the best as some people, because I've seen some really good aluminium welders on YouTube, which are really, really good welders. I've never seen that. We're good, but there's some really good people out there. So don't be getting at us for saying anything out of tune, because they'll obviously know something different than us. So yeah, stay tuned.